You know him as Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. He's built a massive fortune, and he says his entire playbook really comes down to avoiding just one single catastrophic mistake. So, what does he think is the absolute dumbest thing you can ever do with your money? Well, to figure that out, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. And no, the answer isn't picking the wrong stock or starting a business that flops. It is way, way more personal than that. And to really get it, you have to understand this one moment, a moment that happened in an ice cream shop that literally changed his entire life. O'Leary says that every single successful entrepreneur he's ever met has one of these, a defining moment, a fork in the road that put them on their path. And it happened on the very first day of his very first job. Okay, so picture this. Young Kevin O'Leary gets a job at an ice cream parlor, and he didn't do it for the money, he did it to meet a girl who worked at the shoe store next door. Classic. But at the end of his first shift, the owner comes over and tells him to get down on his hands and knees and scrape all the old, crusty gum off the floor. O'Leary looks at her and says, "You hired me as a scooper, not a scraper." And a response? "How about you're fired?" Just like that. And boom, that was it. That was the moment. He realized right then and there that he had a choice. He could spend the rest of his life working for other people, scraping metaphorical gum off the floor, or he could be the person who owned the store. He chose ownership, he chose freedom, and that single decision created his very first rule for success. So, rule number 1. This is maybe the most important rule for actually getting things done. And it's not about working 100-hour weeks, it's about working smart. It's a lesson he learned from one of the most brilliant and notoriously difficult people he ever worked with, the one and only Steve Jobs. See, Jobs had this almost superpower-like ability to separate what he called the signal from the noise. Now, the signal isn't your 5-year plan. It's the 3, maybe 5, absolutely critical things you have to get done in the next 18 hours. That's it. Everything else, every email, every meeting that could have been an email, every little distraction, that's all just noise. And here's the magic ratio that Jobs lived by. To be truly successful, you have to spend 80% of your time, your focus, your energy on the signal, and only 20% on the noise. It's about ruthless prioritization. This is the exact philosophy O'Leary now drills into every single CEO he invests in. It is the absolute heart of effective execution. All right, so you've mastered how to execute. Now you have to convince other people you're a winner. O'Leary claims he can tell if someone's a winner or a loser before they even open their mouth. And it all boils down to 3 key things he looks for in every single pitch. Okay, first, you got to project this aura of confidence. It's not arrogance, it's in your eyes, it's how you carry yourself. You have to walk in and own the space. Second, can you explain your brilliant idea in 90 seconds or less? If you can't, you don't really understand it and you've already lost him. And third, well, this is the one that's a total deal breaker. You have to know your numbers, cold. What's the market size? What are your margins? When do you break even? This stuff is not optional. For Mr. Wonderful, you can nail the first 2 parts, you can have all the charisma in the world, but if you stumble on your numbers, it's over. You've wasted his time, and trust me, he has 0 patience for that. So you're executing, you know how to pitch, you're finally making some real money. Now what do you do with it? For O'Leary, the strategy for growing that money, for making it work for you, came from the single greatest investor he ever knew, his mother, Georgette. Georgette was this fiercely independent woman who decided early on she never wanted to depend on a man for her financial security. So she secretly started taking a little piece of every paycheck and investing it. And over 55 years, she quietly built a portfolio that performed so well it would make most Wall Street hedge fund managers blush. And her strategy, it was so simple but so incredibly powerful. First, she saved 20% of every single paycheck. No excuses. She put it into boring, steady, dividend-paying stocks and bonds. She never ever touched the principal, the original money she invested. She only lived off the interest it generated. And here's the key, she diversified. She never put more than 5% of her money into any one company or more than 20% into any one industry. That's it. Discipline and diversification. That's the entire game. And that brings us to the final rule. And it takes us right back to that question I asked at the beginning. We've talked about making money and growing money. But what is the single biggest, most important financial decision you will ever make in your life? Seriously, think about it for a second. Is it the first business you start? Buying your first home? Getting in on some once-in-a-lifetime stock tip? Nope. According to Kevin O'Leary, it's none of those. It's who you choose to marry. That's it. Why? It's simple. Marriages can survive a lot of things, sometimes even infidelity. But you know what they almost never survive? Financial stress. A bad divorce can wipe out half, maybe even 2/3 of your entire net worth. A lifetime of work gone, just like that. That means you have to vet your partner's financial personality just like you'd vet a business deal. O'Leary breaks it down into these 5 types. You've got the mooch, the spenderholic, the loafer, and of course, the thief. All huge red flags. But the one you're looking for? The meanie. Now that sounds bad, but it's not. The meanie is the person who's balanced, who's responsible, who lives within their means. He says you marry that person and you'll build an empire together. So there you have it. From that ice cream shop floor to the boardroom of Shark Tank, O'Leary's playbook is all about one thing: freedom. It's about deciding to own the store, not scrape the floors. It's about mastering the signal, projecting that winner's aura, investing with discipline, and most importantly, making the biggest investment of your life a smart one. But in the end, it really all comes back to that powerful lesson from Steve Jobs, doesn't it? Every single day, you have a choice between what's truly important and what's just a distraction. So the real question is, what are you spending your next 18 hours on?